I'm not sick. You're sick. Kim here, welcome back. I have a cold. I've been in denial about my cold for like 2 days now, and I finally just decided to commit. Have a cold and get on with my life. Since I'm kind of in a grumpy mood, I decided that I would talk about books I don't like. Because why not? So today I am bringing you a list of the book series I am never gonna finish. Some of these are because the first book in the series did not thrill me. Some of these are because the series got continually worse. And some of these are because it's just been too long since I was in the series that I no longer care. I'm not going to disclaim this with an I'm sorry, I'm not going to disclaim this with a if I say mean things about your favorite book, that doesn't mean I'm saying mean things about you, because we're adults. I'm allowed to not like a book. I'm allowed to not like a series, I'm allowed to not like an author, I'm allowed to be sick and grumpy. So that's what we're gonna do. Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Like, I'm sorry, Percy. Your writer was lazy in this first book and did not impress me enough to continue with your story, which is a cry and shame because it could have been a great story. So, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Never gonna finish it. I don't have any tolerance for lazy writing, and that's what a lot of this was. The next series I'm never gonna finish. The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. I found cliche, I found it tropey, I found it boring, I found it predictable. Just all the things that make me go, no, 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 no. I'm not sorry. And next, the Divergent series. I read Divergent and I read Insurgent. Is that the other one? The first one I actually kind of liked. Obviously, I read the second one. And the second one was just, maybe it was just second book syndrome, and maybe it's because, like, there's just so much, like, just oversaturated YA kind of stuff that, like, that I don't really care. I'm not really interested. The second book ended on, like, a pretty big cliffhanger kind of thing, and even, I mean, on, like, the literal last page, like, the last few, like, sentences are, like, this kind of thing, and I still was like, nah, Maybe I'm just, like, so over YA. I don't know, and I don't want to be over YA because there's some good stuff, and I don't want to, like, miss out on that stuff because I'm like, ew, YA, that's an instant no, because that's no way to approach anything and to just, like, just completely, like, black and white no. And maybe one day I'll go back to it, but, like, it's been so long now that I'm just like, probably not. Sorry, just not interested. And then A Song of Ice and Fire. Whichever book comes before A Dance with Dragons, I read up until then. However, I read them in 2009. So you can imagine my grumpiness when I finished that fourth book and there was no fifth book in sight. There wasn't even like a release date or anything at that point. It was just like this, when's it gonna happen? We don't even know. When A Dance with Dragons finally came out, I didn't care at all. I no longer cared about these characters. It had been so long that I just was like, sorry. Like, I would have to reread the entire series, and these are not small books. These books are commitments, especially the first book. There's so many names and so many places and so many governments and so many kingdoms and so many things you have to figure out just to get into the world that I actually wasn't even gonna read the second book until the very last page of this book gripped me with the dragons, and I was like, well crap, now I have to read all of them. And I read all that were out, and now I'm like so distanced from it that I don't care. This is why I usually try to not start a book series until all the books are out, because if I go any length of time, it's like, oh, I don't care anymore. Next! The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. I bought the first and the second book because I knew I was gonna like it, and I found it in a set. And this was before the third book was even out, so that's how long it's been. Then the third book came out a few years later, and I almost didn't pick it up because it had been so long. Read the third book, and I really liked it. I especially liked how it ended. It was really like a nice, like, emotional sort of ending for me that I really liked, and I really like these characters, and I really like the story, but by the time Inheritance? Is that the fourth book? By the time that came out, I lost interest. I just was like, look, I can't go and remember everything that happened before. This was another one I read when it was fairly new, and it just, by the time the last one came out, I was over it. Next! The girl with the dragon tattoo. The millennials, millennium something series. No, I'm just no. I did not understand the hype for this book. Everybody said it was so captivating and gripping and things, and I'm just like, no, like it didn't catch me at all. I had to force myself to finish this because I kept telling myself it's gonna happen, it's gonna get better, I'm gonna get hooked. I just like speedied read. I read the rest really, really fast because I just was like, I don't care, I just want to get through it and whatever, and I finished it, and it was another long one to commit to, and I was like, no. I did appreciate the awareness it brought to domestic violence, to violence and sexual violence and abuse and things against women. I appreciated what it did for that, but that's it. That's it for me. Next, Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Book 1 of the All Souls trilogy. Ugh, guys, my camera died. I cannot win today. What was I even talking about? I was saying something about this book. I kind of had book hangover when I read this, and so I really could not get into anybody or anything that was going on, and it's really not even the book's fault. Is the other one even out? Is that even a thing? I don't even care. Wow. Sick Kim is salty. The last book should come as no surprise. Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I read the first book. I really did read it. A lot of people hate on this series without even having read any of it just because it was so overhyped and exaggerated, but I did read the first book because I'm a firm believer that I can't just say this sucks if I know nothing about it. So I read the first book, and while I did understand why it was popular and why people liked it, I didn't like it. If I were in high school, I would probably freaking be obsessed with this. I appreciate what this did for causing a lot of excitement in like the publishing world and for the crazy success it had because it got a lot of people reading, and like that's always a good thing. I don't think it's a bad book. I don't think it's a bad story. It's just not for me. And so I'm not going to be moving on. I even have New Moon. I don't even know how I got it. I think I accidentally stole it from like my sister or somebody. Oops. That does it for the book series that I'm not going to finish. I just have a shorted character attention span or something maybe, where it's like if I go a few months without having anything to do with your characters, I'm gonna lose interest. So I try to start series if the whole series is out. That's just the way that like I gotta do it. Otherwise, I lose interest and I stop caring and I don't finish. And that's really not fair to some of these book series. Other ones kind of deserve to go unfinished. Percy Jackson. Okay, that does it for this video. I'm gonna go drink more freaking tea because that's what I live on now. Tea and cough drops is my diet. It's awesome. I love you all. Nope. That like shook everything. Ah.